Yeah, yeah. Ooh, oh, 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 yeah. Welcome to day 4 of week 3 in the Provian Roadmap, an introduction to self-mastery. Today we'll focus on overcoming the fear of judgment. Many of us struggle with the fear of what others might think. Learning to let go of this fear is a key step toward self-acceptance and authentic living. Understanding the fear of judgment. The fear of judgment is the anxiety about how others perceive you or your actions. Okay? Do you keep yourself up at night worrying about what they think or how they feel? That's you having the fear of judgment. The fear of judgment often stems from a fear of rejection or failure. We want to be liked, accepted, and understood, so we seek external validation instead of trusting our own worth. This is something a lot of us have gone through, especially when we're transitioning from children to teenagers. You know, that desire to fit into the in-group and to not be left behind, to be seen as cool, not to be seen as a lame. Many of us had this innate desire to fit the narrative of the society in such a way that we are not found wanting in any way. So we fear the judgment of our peers, of our parents' friends, of our religious leaders, of our teachers. That fear of judgment began to subconsciously mold us into the perfect, dormant, non-authentic version of ourselves. We had to go with the flow. Why we fear judgment? Fear of judgment often stems from a need for approval, past experiences, and societal pressures. So you see, when these factors come together, we become this limited version of ourselves, if you may. How fear of judgment limits us. This fear can hold us back. It stifles our creativity and self-expression. And it can stop us from pursuing the goals or dreams that truly matter to us. You see, the fear of judgment has been one of the major reasons why I haven't had too many friends, because the kind of stories that I have that make up what I'll call my life were stories I felt they couldn't relate to. Broken home, religious identity crisis, self-consciousness in my speech, self-consciousness in the way I carried myself. I had a lot of fear of how people would perceive me, and it made me refrain from maybe introducing myself in a crowd of people, walking up to strangers. That fear of judgment limited my ability to network, create friends, build an inner circle, a rich support system. You see? So it's a very serious key area of our lives. If you had to master yourself in 2025, you would have to address your fear of judgment. Realize that all we have out there are people. They're just people. And nobody's perfect. Whatever you think someone is going to judge you on, they also have 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 other things that other people are going to judge them on. And it's what people do. We form opinions and everybody thinks they know better in his or her own corner based on their own perspective and life experiences. And you need to understand that it's not personal. It has nothing to do with you. They are just projecting. So it holds us from speaking our truth, trying new things, and living authentically. You don't want that to be you. So definitely you would have to do something about your fear of judgment. How to overcome fear of judgment. Number 1, acknowledge the fear. You have to find out what it is that you are worried about. What's the worst case scenario? That thing that your mind is telling you is going to happen when they judge you, or they won't include you to the invitation list for the next party, or they're not going to see you as cool, or they wouldn't like your posts on social media. I don't think in the long course of your life you're going to care about any of these factors. So you have to take in extra steps to acknowledge what that fear is, so you can take adequate steps to tackle it and get rid of it. Number 2, challenge the belief. How are you sure that judgment is going to come? How are you sure things are as bad as you think they are? How are you sure your mind is not playing tricks on you? You would have to challenge that belief and ask yourself, are you going to be able to live with that judgment even if it does come? And if your answer is yes, then what's the problem? Keep it moving, keep it pushing. Okay? Then number 3, reframe your thoughts. Reframe your thoughts around the judgment. What makes it so bad to start with? One way to overcome the fear of judgment is to reframe it. Instead of focusing on others' opinions, ask yourself, how does this align with my values? When you're living in alignment with your values, external validation becomes less important. You care less about what they really think. Okay? So, shift focus from others' opinions to your values and ask, how does this align with my values? Remember, most people are too focused on themselves to truly judge you. And when they do, their judgment often reflects their own insecurities, not your worth. Allow them say what they have to say, be who they want to be, and you don't attach your sense of worth to their pronouncements or conclusions. Okay? And that's why you would have to cultivate your intrinsic self-worth. Your self-esteem should not depend on what anyone has to say or think about you. What's the power of self-validation? Self-validation is the key to letting go of external judgment. When you appraise yourself and you judge yourself and you correct yourself and you guide yourself and you lift yourself up, you wouldn't care what anyone has to say. People's cheer wouldn't really matter. It might be an extra, cherry on the cake, but other than that, you're fine with or without their acknowledgement of your existence. Okay? What are some practical strategies to overcome fear? Like I said, number 1, practice self-compassion. Self-compassion we have covered in a previous module, but you can see how crucial it is in almost all areas of your life, because when you have compassion on yourself, you would shield yourself from the external judgment of people. To let go of the fear of judgment, start by practicing self-compassion. Speak to yourself for kindness and understanding, as you would to a close friend. That's what self-compassion is. Don't join the negative Nancy's to talk down on yourself. When people say you are bad, do not agree with it, both internally and externally. Do not join them in chorusing the negative things that they are using to categorize you. Okay? Challenge self-critical thoughts by asking if they are really true. And focus on progress, not perfection, because nobody gets it right all the time. In fact, if there is any self-criticism directed towards you from your inner conscience or from outside, that criticism should just be a stepping stone to your progress in self-discovery and self-mastery. If there is anything that they are pointing out that is really bad about you, take that opportunity to thank them and, rise from the occasion. Rise from the occasion. Get better. Know more. When you know better, do better. Okay? Exercise. Challenge one fear of judgment. Identify one fear of judgment and reframe it into a positive, empowering thought. Confront your fear of judgment. Write down one fear of judgment you hold. Create a counter statement affirming your worth. Just take some time to reflect. Write down one fear of judgment you hold. Then, write a counter statement that affirms your worth. For example, if you fear others won't like your ideas, remind yourself, my ideas have value and I don't need anyone's approval to pursue them. Just like I said, if I had waited for anyone's approval for any of the skills I developed, I probably wouldn't have graduated from any particular instructor with any particular certificate, and I would have continued to degrade my ability to perform in that capacity. But today, I produce, I write, I sing, I publish, I'm an author, I'm a content creator, I'm a website designer, I'm a graphic designer, I design my merch myself. You just have to power through it without the fear of judgment. Okay? Reflection question. How would your life change if you are no longer afraid of judgment? You ever think about that? What's one thing you've avoided because of fear of judgment? How would it feel to do it anyway? As you reflect, ask yourself, what's one thing you've avoided because of fear of judgment, and how would it feel to do it anyway? This simple shift in perspective can unlock tremendous growth, tremendous self-understanding, orienting yourself, to ground yourself in yourself, to pull yourself back from all the people who you have fractionalized your identity, all the impressions that you try to create for other people to accept you. Pull that acknowledgement back from them. Tell them, thank you. You don't need to tell me how great I am or how good I am. You don't need to tell me how good I'm doing. I would validate myself. This simple shift in perspective can unlock tremendous growth in you. Because at the end of the day, everybody's going to die. If there is any perspective I need you to hold at the back of your mind in 2025, it is everybody's going to die. So your judgment should be more important. Your judgment of what it is you're doing. If it is good for you, if it's good enough, then I think it's good enough. Hold it to heart. Execute it. Let's recap. Overcoming the fear of judgment. Fear of judgment often stems from self-criticism. Okay? Most judgment reflects others' insecurities, not your worth. Letting go of external validation leads to freedom and confidence. Key takeaways. Yeah? Acknowledge the fear of judgment. Accept that you have that fear. Come to terms with it. Challenge negative self-talk. See that self-criticism? Majority of the time, the voice is not yours. You borrowed it or you downloaded it from your environment, from your caregivers, from people who had other fears they projected onto you. Practice self-validation. Be the source of your own cheer. Be your own cheerleader. Don't wait for someone to say you are doing great before you understand how great you're doing. If you wait for people's validation, most times it may never come. So, bootstrap your life. Take life the bull by the horn. Do what you ought to do. Know when you're doing it right. Do your research. Comb the internet. Find references. Find the best ways to fine-tune your perspectives to ensure that you validate yourself properly. When you're right, you're right. When you're wrong, call your bullshit. Correct yourself. Embrace authenticity. When you embrace authenticity, fear of judgment literally fizzles out because you're being yourself anyway. So whatever they say, they either live with you or live without you, but that's not your problem. It's their problem. So embrace authenticity, okay? Take action despite fear, irrespective of what the outcome would be of you living your truth. Screw fear of judgment and say, hey, damn the consequences. I'll take action. I'll be courageous and I'll be myself. So to recap, the fear of judgment often stems from self-criticism. But remember, judgment usually reflects others' insecurities, not your worth. When you let go of external validation, you open the door to freedom and confidence. Action steps. Identify one fear of judgment that's holding you back. Another action step, challenge the validity of this fear. You'll be surprised. Reframe the fear into a positive belief. It's not set in stone. You have the power. It's not set in stone, man. You have the power through frame alchemy to reframe the fear into a positive belief. Let me think about Let me think up an example of how to reframe fear of judgment. Let's say the book I published, From Trauma to Triumph, The Mental Health Battles of an Inscrutable Maverick. Imagine I was scared of judgment, that people are going to hear my deepest secrets, my very personal life. Rather than fearing, oh, they're going to judge me, they're going to talk down on me, or say, oh, I went in too deep, or I was too vulnerable. I could reframe that thought into a positive expectation that the people who would really get it and who would really read it and internalize it would form a very deep bond with me, to the point of I finding Provians who really subscribe to the ethics of what it is I'm building. Another action step: practice self-compassion and self-acceptance. Just like what I'm going through right now, I have to accept that things will not always be perfect. I am yet to build a studio where I'm in my own space, so I have to accept that I might be encroached upon with noise from outside, and I have to live with it. I have to make peace with it. I have to allow the growth that I'm on, the trajectory I'm on, the person I'm becoming, to be bigger than the environmental stimuli of people trying to distract me or get in the way of what I'm creating or what I'm making. This is what I'm talking about. So practice self-compassion. Have compassion on yourself and understand that it won't always be like this. I'll get to a point where I'm able to afford my own personal private space where I create these courses in a very quiet, ambient environment where people don't get a chance to interrupt or disturb me. So bear with me. Bear with the noise. I'll get rid of as much of it as I can. But for now, bear with me. The next action step: take action and step outside your comfort zone. I just did that right now. The lights are on. Majority of the people looking through the glass are wondering what I'm recording and what it is I'm doing, but I don't really care. They can't stop me. They can't get in my way. They can't get in my head. I'm past that. I'm beyond that right now. The fear of that judgment has fizzled out. The fact that I'm taking this course as I'm teaching it, the fact that I'm practicing what it is that I'm teaching, puts me in that headspace where I understand that I have the power to determine the narrative of what it is that I'm doing and what the outcome is going to be. So, like I said, you would have to practice it, because self-mastery is an ongoing journey. You don't arrive at any finish point. It's a day-to-day decision to keep going. Remember, you are worthy and capable, regardless of what others may think. You would have to prove to yourself how capable you are, and you would have to keep pushing through all the resistance that you might face. Okay? Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow for daily practices of authentic living. Okay? Tomorrow we'll wrap up the week with daily practices that support authentic living. I'll see you then.